This week on Jersey Matters, we'll talk with Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor and former State Senator Diane Allen about her debate with the Democratic incumbent Sheila Oliver. Cybersecurity attacks are happening every day, so why aren't companies reporting them? Mike Garrity, the Chief Information Security Officer for the state, says it's a big problem. A new miracle treatment for breast cancer. We've got the details. And dogs from Louisiana, left homeless by Hurricane Ida, are looking for new homes in New Jersey. Hello, and welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. Let's get right to my interview with former state senator and candidate for lieutenant governor for the Republican Party, Diane Allen. Senator, thanks so much for agreeing to talk to us today. I know you have a busy day today, and I know you had a busy night last night because I saw the debate. How do you feel like it went?
I think it went well. I was pleased that we could get together, that the current lieutenant governor and I could show our different points of view and contrast our beliefs. And it's always good when you can get people to see who it is that's running, what they think, and so that people can make a decision as to where they want to go with their votes.
I want to ask you about a few things that you said and get you to expound on it. At one point, they brought up the pledge that the governor made about taxes, and you came out and said you don't believe him. Are you saying that he lied?
Yeah. So last Tuesday, a week ago, he said, I am not going to raise taxes in the next 4 years. That was Tuesday. On Friday, not very many hours later, he raised the payroll tax on every business in the state of New Jersey by $250 million. So, I mean, there it is. That was a lie. He did it.
Right. You don't think that he meant when he gets reelected that he wouldn't raise taxes?
Well, I don't know what he meant, but what he said was, I'm not going to raise taxes in the next 4 years.
Something else interesting that you said and that stuck out to me was it came up whether Joe Biden would come and campaign for Phil Murphy. And your reaction was interesting because you said you would love that. Explain.
Well, we have found in our polling data that as the numbers for Biden go down, they kind of take down the Murphy numbers as well. So we think that the more that he stands with Biden and talks about Biden and is seen with Biden, it helps our candidacies.
It's interesting. I spoke with Assemblyman Chitterelli about a week ago, and I brought up to him that the Murphy campaign ads are tying you to Donald Trump. And I interviewed him during the primaries when all the Republicans were attacking him for not being close enough to Donald Trump in his policies. And he laughed at that. If that is the case, if you believe that Biden is a detriment to the Murphy campaign, why isn't that being brought up more in ads or in your campaign?
I guess because we think that other ads are more important. I will tell you that we've seen, as of the last day or two, signs in many of our urban areas in New Jersey that say, defeat the Trump team, vote Murphy. And I'm suggesting that we put up signs that say, there is no Trump team, who's Murphy?
At one point, one of the questioners asked an interesting question. And that is that you have always been considered a moderate Republican, that you are moderate on social issues, more conservative on fiscal issues. Is that true? Have you drifted more to the right?
Well, I don't think I've drifted to the right. No, I think I'm still exactly where I've always been. I mean, if you look at the kinds of votes that I took when I was in the Senate, in the legislature, I mean, as I mentioned last night, I voted for gay marriage before Obama even backed gay marriage. I wrote a bill on anti-bullying that was the strongest in the country to protect children, many LGBTQ kids and others who were finding that bullying was their biggest problem. I wrote lots of different things for women's equality, for pay equity. The governor even named the pay equity bill after me. It's the Diane B. Allen Pay Equity Act. And he said the kindest things about me when he did that, for which I am still very thankful. So no, I've always been a moderate. I've always been pro-choice. I mean, that's where I stand, and that's where I still stand.
You had one of the best responses I have heard to the term dog whistle. It comes up all the time in debates. It came up in the Virginia governor's debate that happened earlier this week. It came up in the presidential debates. It came up in the New Jersey gubernatorial debate. Phil Murphy accused Jack Ciattarelli several times of using a dog whistle. It is a soft accusation of racism. And you laughed it off and said it's overused and that it's misused. Is it an unfair accusation? I think
it's a foolish way to say so. I mean, what is it you're trying to say? Are Republicans dogs? I don't know. What is it that you're really trying to say with it? And I think different people are saying different things, which is another problem. And it is sort of a go-to phrase for Democrats. And you're right. Some of it's about trying to claim that we're being racist, or that we're being this or we're being that. Why don't you just come out and say what you mean and let us debate that, instead of using a term like dog whistle, that to me is just a foolish term.
I believe that the use of dog whistle is a dog whistle.
Exactly right.
It is actually trying to reach an audience without coming out and just saying what you mean, which is what I believe what dog whistle means. You are at your strongest, I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong about this because you know your strengths. You are at your strongest, I think, when you talk about the way the Murphy administration has treated women. And it almost seems personal to you because you've been in politics a long time as a strong woman. Is it personal? Am I reading that correctly?
Well, I've certainly faced a lot of discrimination in my life, and that's just because I've lived a very long life. And I have no time for men who turn their backs on women when they're in difficult situations. And for him to turn his back on Katie Brennan when she was trying to let him know that she'd been raped, and he just ignored her. But the biggest one to me is the Edna Man prison. I mean, the governor knew for over a year, because there was a federal report that called this women's prison a rape den. They said all of the terrible things that were going on, that women were being terrorized, that their bones were being broken, they were being beaten. And he knew about it for a year and did nothing. And then a newspaper got the information, ran it, and he still did nothing. I mean, you're supposed to take care of everybody in the state when you are the governor. It is your job to make sure that people are safe and secure, even those who have broken the law and are in prison. What did he do for the men who were in prison? Well, when COVID came around, he decided to let a lot of the men out so that they didn't get sick while they were in prison. 4 of them then committed murders. That's what he does for men. For women, we're not going to let them out. In fact, we're going to let them stay there and be beaten and raped. The man just is unable to deal with situations involving women.
Well, I'd love to talk to him. I'd love to talk to Sheila Oliver. They always refuse to come on. And you were in the media for a long time as a very well-known television anchor in Philadelphia. The fact that they haven't had editorial board meetings, I believe, with the major papers in New Jersey either.
They seem certain that they're going to win. I believe they're wrong.
We talked about women in politics. What do you want your role to be as lieutenant governor?
I would primarily like to take on really large issues that we need to examine and find answers to. One of them is gun violence that I would love to take on. We have so many illegal guns, and so many of our young men in the inner cities are being murdered. We need to do something about that, and I don't see the current administration doing a thing. We also need to take a look, I think, at homelessness, which has always been an issue close to my heart. And I would hope that we could do more on that. In terms of where would I be as a member of the cabinet, what would my portfolio be? I'm not sure yet. Jack and I are still talking. There are a number of things. Possibly Secretary of State, where you could clean up the election system. I love all of the areas.
Yeah, but you're confident you will have a prominent role.
When Jack asked me to run with him, he said, I want you to be a partner in this. And he reemphasizes that every time that we speak. It is important, I think, to note that Jack believes that having many voices come in to sit around the table makes a better decision in the end, as opposed to Phil Murphy, who just throws out mandates left and right and doesn't bother to talk to the people of the state to see what they want or how they want it to be dealt with. Jack wants to hear from people, wants to decide then what to do, and then Jack will act. He will take action to make things better, whereas Murphy just turns his back and tries to ignore things, as with Edna Mann Prison and with Katie Brennan and so many other things as well.
Just one last question. It's something that didn't come up in the debate, but it's heavily in the news right now and affects New Jersey. There have been some raucous school board meetings in New Jersey. We recently had one in Rockaway about Columbus Day. There have been some about vaccine and mask mandates in Monmouth County. And now the Department of Justice has come out and said they're going to have the FBI investigate some of the parents, especially if and when threats are made. What is your reaction to that?
Well, if somebody makes an actual threat anywhere, any meeting on the street, but an actual threat that is going to be backed up by some kind of terroristic action, well, that's when the FBI should be involved. But for parents who are coming in and saying, I don't want you to teach my children certain things that are on the docket right now, or I don't want you to do other things with my own kids, that's not a terroristic threat. That's a parent standing up and doing what he or she should do, making sure that their children are getting exactly what they need. It worries me that what we're looking at is really trying to stifle parents in their ability to get what they need for their children. I really don't understand why we don't think that this is a bad thing. It's a First Amendment right, first of all. And second of all, I look down in Virginia and, you know, the Democratic nominee for Governor Terry McAuliffe, who has been governor before, said recently that he doesn't think that parents should have anything to do with what's going on in their schools. That's not a parent's role. I think that's what the Democrats think. I think that's what Joe Biden thinks. I think that's what the Justice Department thinks. And I believe they're absolutely wrong. It is totally our role to care what's going on. That's where we have our input at our school board at that level, the grassroots level, to determine what's going to be taught to our children. And I have to tell you, some of the things that are being taught concern me, particularly in New Jersey.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor Diane Allen. Still to come on Jersey Matters, how to help communities of color in New Jersey hit hard by COVID-19. That's next.